Iran. I would like to remind you kindly to please keep your statements to no more than 5 minutes so that all delegations that wish to make statements can have the opportunity to do so. Now I would like to turn the floor over to the delegation of Iran for today's first statement. And I'm inviting a representative of Iran, His Excellency Mr. Zalt Mezaros, Ambassador and Permanent Representative. Sir, you have the floor, Your Excellency, please.
In the name of Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful. Madam Chair, Excellencies, colleagues, heads of delegations, good morning. On behalf of the Islamic Republic of Iran, I'm honored to convey our gratitude to the Ozone Secretariat and the Government of Kenya for their diligent coordination and organization of the 35th meeting of the parties to the Montreal Protocol. In recent years, our world has grappled with global challenges such as the COVID-19 pandemic impacting virtually every facet of our existence. Nevertheless, the ozone community has demonstrated resilience in mitigating some of these risks by envisioning diverse scenarios to maintain the level of engagement and participation among the protocol's signatories. This achievement owes its success to the unceasing support of the Secretariat and the collaborative spirit exhibited by all member parties. In this connection, considering one-year extension of the HCFC's phase-out management plan by the Executive Committee of the Multilateral Fund for the implementation of the Montreal Protocol enables the parties to accelerate phase-out projects to comply with the phase-out schedules. As we are implementing HCFC's phase-out projects to eliminate remaining consumption of HCFCs in manufacturing and service sector, we are able to leverage the capacities developed under the HPMP to facilitate implementation of national strategy in dealing with the HFC's growth as transitional substances. Although the parties to the Montreal Protocol, especially the A5 parties, will face challenges during HFC's phase down under the Kigali Amendment, we believe that the amendment is flexible enough to cover technical and economic barriers where a party has to adopt sector-oriented alternatives. Moving toward the HFC's phase-out will certainly facilitate sustainability of the ozone-depleting substances. Phase-out activities through adoption of natural alternatives. Despite the existing challenges during recent years, the Islamic Republic of Iran has been in full compliance with the Montreal Protocol's control targets for phasing out of HCFCs through implementation of HCFC's phase-out management plan, stages 1 and 2, the country has achieved 35% reduction of HCFCs compared to its baseline consumption by January 2020. Under stage 2 of the HPMP, we have successfully converted eligible manufacturers in refrigeration sector to produce with the HCFC's alternatives. Conversion and technical assistance projects, as well as non-investment programs are progressing despite limited access to the qualified technology providers. Under the HPMP project, Islamic Republic of Iran has been following sustainability of the technical training to promote good practices, energy efficiency enhancement, and increasing of safety. In this connection, the Department of Environment National Ozone Unit, with cooperation of the Technical and Vocational Training Organization as the governmental body for providing certified technical trainings, equipped 6 technical training centers in 6 provinces in the country in order to provide practical training on handling of flammable refrigerants. Systemic data sharing among the key stakeholders who are involved in the process of national technical training is being followed to enhance the certification mechanisms and targeted trainings. Ladies and gentlemen, during the implementation of the HPMP, the monitoring network of ODS has been strengthened. As part of these efforts, selected custom departments and national ozone cells in provinces has been equipped with new generation gas identifiers. These identifiers enable them to more effectively participate in global efforts to combat illegal trade and prevent the distribution of low-quality substances in the market. Fortunately, as a result of years of experiences, an adjustable and effective licensing mechanism has been developed which ensures close coordination and cooperation among the national decision makers, enabling the government of Islamic Republic of Iran to manage challenging situations to comply with its commitments. As we know, one solution for A5 countries facing demand in the servicing sector, which is still a challenge regarding the complete phase out of R22, is to develop technical infrastructure to control the demand for pure R22. Considering technical capacity of the country, the experience gained during technology transfer, the high level of technical knowledge of the stakeholders of the RAC industry, and to effectively respond to servicing needs in the coming years while limiting R22 importation to comply with commitments, establishing recovery, recycling, and reclamation centers can be considered as a feasible solution. Developing system houses to supply alternative blends for domestic needs is also critical, as 141B importation has been significantly limited in accordance with the control targets set for the year 2024. Considering the country's situation, providing timely financial support for the implementation of such projects by the multilateral fund can greatly assist us to control increase of demand. In closing, Madam Chair, the Vienna Convention and the Montreal Protocol stand as examples of multilateralism, offering a tangible and effective response to the global environmental challenges we face. The protocol, serving as the instrument for executing the phase-out of ozone-depleting substances, plays a pivotal role in advocating sustainable solutions within the refrigeration and air conditioning sector. As we approach the phase-down of hydrofluorocarbons for developing nations, this role becomes even more pronounced. The remarkable effort of the ozone community over the past decades coupled with the establishment of a robust and efficient global collaborations framework under the Montreal Protocol, are leading us to anticipate a gradual recovery of the ozone layer in the decades to come. I earnestly hope that global partnership within the Montreal Protocol will persist in the same spirit as before, empowering us to confront the mounting environmental challenges that jeopardize our most vital protective barrier, the ozone layer, and life on Earth. I extend my heartfelt gratitude for your attention. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for delivering your statement. And now I would like to turn the floor over to the delegation from Gambia, which will be represented by Her Excellency, Ms. Ambassador Jainaba Janneh, Permanent Representative of the Republic of the Gambia to Ethiopia, Kenya, the African Union, and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. And it is to be followed by Sierra Leone and Sudan. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Madam Azra, President of MOP35, Honorable Ministers and Heads of Delegation, delegates and participants, good morning. Madam President, firstly, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you on your election as President to guide the proceedings of MOP35 in this beautiful city of Nairobi. In the same vein, I congratulate the Ozone Secretariat for organizing this event. I carry with me the warm and fraternal greetings of the government and the people of the Gambia, and to the brotherly people of Kenya, and thank you for hosting this meeting. As I said on Monday, I reiterate that it is indeed a singular privilege to be part of the August gathering, which is discussing the central issue of our time, the Montreal Protocol, recognized as one of the world's strongest examples of global environmental governance in addressing the environmental challenges facing our planet Earth. Excellencies and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is gratifying to intimate that the Gambia has embraced an active and perpetual posture in positively contributing to the fight against the depletion of the ozone layer with the setting up in 1997 of the National Ozone Office at the National Environment Agency, principally mandated to spearhead the implementation of the programs and activities concretized in the Montreal Protocol. This has served as the national compass for our determined actions in accelerating progress towards a more equitable, inclusive, and environmentally sustainable world, and a world free of refrigerants, and do not only contribute to the depletion of the ozone layer, but contribute to the warming of the Earth and climate change. Madam Chair, the Gambia has also ratified the Vienna Convention on the Protection of the Ozone Layer and the Kigali Amendment on Hydrofluorocarbons on the 5th of May 2021. This trajectory is indispensable as the Gambia is one of the most vulnerable countries to coastal erosion and the effects of climate change. In our quest to be in line with other parties that ratified the Montreal Protocol and all its amendments, the Gambia has made tremendous strides, amongst others, legislations that are meant to control imports of ODS-related materials into the country, training of customs and other security agents to support in the monitoring regime, and establishment of legally registered refrigeration and air conditioning technicians associations in all the 7 regions of the country, and we are making progress in establishing female refrigeration and air conditioning technicians. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in kinetically moving forward, the Gambia buttresses the following issues. 1, the support for technology transfer to the developing countries that will enable them to meet the Montreal Protocol provisions and obligations. And 2, strong support for the acceleration of the Montreal Protocol implementation process by developing countries. And it is a testament to what can be achieved through collective and formidable international effort and resolve. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for delivering your statement. And I had on my list, and I have announced Sierra Leone and Sudan, but apparently the distinguished head of delegations of these countries are on the way. So I would like now to invite a representative of Saudi Arabia, Professor Mohammed Al-Dossari, General Manager of Ozone and Chemical Department, to deliver his statement. Professor, you have the floor. And this statement is to be followed by Brazil and Peru.
صباح الخير. بسم الله والحمد لله.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May the peace of God be with you. President, Saudi Arabia would first and foremost like to thank the Republic of Kenya for hosting this meeting of the parties to the Montreal Protocol. We thank them for hosting us in this beautiful city of Nairobi. We would also like to express our thanks to all of the United Nations bodies and all of the teams who have been working to prepare this meeting. We'd also like to thank all of the assessment panels that have worked in the background. We would also like to thank the Secretariat for their work in ensuring that this meeting would be a success. We also thank all the member states who are present here today. We are all working to ensure this conference will be a success. We would also like to thank Mr. Hassan bin Ali Al Mubarak from the Kingdom of Bahrain, who was the outgoing president of the 34th meeting of the parties, and his team for all of their efforts. Saudi Arabia would also like to thank you, President, and congratulate you on your election. Ladies and gentlemen, Saudi Arabia, through its 2030 vision, has placed the issues of sustainability, environmental protection, and the quality of human life as the pillars of our ambitions in order to transform our country. This is very clear and is set out in our strategies, programs, projects, which have been launched by the Kingdom over the past few years. Ladies and gentlemen, Saudi Arabia, while adopting these transformations which are essential at the national level, is also aware of the need for international cooperation between all countries in the field of the environment. We hope to find constructive cooperation and support in all technical domains in the areas of science, innovation, capacity building, technology transfer, skills transfer, and knowledge transfer. All these aspects are essential to effectively achieve environmental development and social development which is sustainable. This support brings together all countries throughout the world, and developing countries in particular. Whatever their different levels of national development from an economic and social standpoint. Therefore, Saudi Arabia reiterates its continuing and constant commitments to implementing mechanisms and processes to encourage research, to encourage development, and to foster innovation with practices which are in line with the norms set out within international agreements. All this also comes under the new Green Initiative in Saudi Arabia and the Green Initiative of the Middle East. We are planting 10 billion saplings within Saudi Arabia over the next decades as a contribution from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia against climate change. We hope this will combine with international efforts to reduce CO2 emissions, combat climate change. Therefore, we reiterate our commitment and our belief in a sustainable future for one and all. This green initiative will have a first project which will comprise more than 60 initiatives. And it all comes under our ambitious national 2030 vision. This vision will strive to achieve a sustainable economy and society in our country and the achievement of all of our plans. We want to ensure environmental, economic and social sustainability in our country, but in the region as a whole as well. We're also striving to increase the use of clean energy and low carbon technologies. For example, the use of green hydrogen. All these projects show the ambition of Saudi Arabia to fight against climate change. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is therefore pleased to invite you to take part in the 16th session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, which will be held from the 2nd to 13th December 2024. Please take note of this date. We also share the belief of all countries that international agreements on the environment are an effective means of protecting our planet and its environment. This can only be achieved through objective scientific work and with equitable support for all countries, ensuring that we keep to that set out within environmental agreements. We all need to believe together in our joint capacity to achieve our goals, to achieve a better world for future generations. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, President, and I thank the members of the Bureau.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your statement. And now I would like to turn the floor over to the delegation from Brazil, represented by Ms. Bruna Verissimo Lima Santos, Third Secretary of Climate Negotiation Division of Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Madam, you have the floor.
Madam Executive Secretary, Madam President of the Meeting of Parties, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates. On behalf of the Federative Republic of Brazil, I would like to thank the Government of Kenya and the Ozone Secretariat for convening this high-level session at the 35th Meeting of Parties to the Montreal Protocol. I would also like to congratulate you, Madam President of the MOP, for your election. As we come closer to the end of this session, it is important to take stock of progress while looking at the challenges ahead. Even though the Montreal Protocol was signed in 1987, it might be one of the few agreements in which its implementation truly takes into account a key concept: sustainable development. Sustainable development, along with a strong sense of purpose among parties and a consistent spirit of international cooperation, are elements that have been guiding us until this day. Our decisions consider not only their potential benefits for the environment, but also how these benefits interact with societies and our economies. One does not go without the other two. More than 35 years later, we can still acknowledge progress, not in spite of these considerations, but because of this balanced approach. Brazil remains committed to protecting the ozone layer through the Montreal Protocol and in line with sustainable development. Throughout the years, we have managed to translate these commitments into concrete and, most of the times, early action. During phase 2 of our HPMPs, which ends in 2024, we faced the challenge of reducing 51.6% of our baseline, and we have successfully reduced, until now, almost 60% of HCFC consumption, a significantly higher percentage when compared to the proposed reduction figure, and we still have one more year to go. As early action is not possible without domestic engagement, Brazil strongly believes in a constructive process that aligns internationally agreed instruments with economic and social circumstances is imperative. That is why we have recently launched public consultations for the third phase of our HPMPs, which is expected to reduce 67.5% of our baseline, beginning in 2025. Given our current results, we will continue to work towards even more ambitious outcomes and hope to have even better news to present in this forum. Your Excellencies, perhaps the most important reflection we as parties may do during this meeting relates to the future of the Montreal Protocol. We're entering an unprecedented moment that requires unprecedented consideration of how sustainable development can be achieved through this process, as well as a renewed sense of purpose and an unshakable spirit of international cooperation. After ratifying the Kigali Amendment last year, I'm happy to announce that Brazil has finished its domestic internalization process, paving the way for compliance under the amendment. As countries begin to work on and present their Kigali implementation plans, their KIPs, we expect to have corresponding resources, as has been the practice over the years. We cannot and will not accept to listen how increased ambitions and the Kigali Amendment are important for climate action, while lacking resources to implement sustainable phase-down activities. Distinguished delegates, we have been discussing for almost a week some of the issues that will have an impact on the future of the Montreal Protocol, such as the replenishment of the multilateral fund, energy efficiency, the terms of reference for the next quadrennial reports, and many others. When we close this session later today, we hope to have decisions that honor our successful past and better prepare us for the years to come. Madam President, Brazil would like to reassure you of our commitments to a successful outcome of MOP35 and to the Montreal Protocol. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam, for delivering your statement. And now I would like to invite to the floor distinguished representative of Peru, Mr. Jonathan Niccioli Anthony Quevedo Tella, functionary of the Environment Directorate of Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Peru. Sir, you have the floor.
Madam President, Excellencies, good day to all of you. It's a great pleasure for me to speak to you and to transmit fraternal greetings from the government of Peru and to reiterate our thanks to the Republic of Kenya for its hospitality in hosting us at this meeting, to the Ozone Secretariat for its constant work to make sure of the proper implementation of the Montreal Protocol, to the co-chairs who are continuing to guide and organize the work of the contact groups and the informal sessions, as well as to reiterate our thanks to the Bureau, which is worthily presided over by Bosnia and Herzegovina. 34 years ago, the Montreal Protocol entered into force, beginning a long history of success and compromise on the part of states parties. It's the only international environmental agreement which has been able to bring together all states of the world and which has been able to end production and consumption by 98% of HCFCs, which are ODS. This success would not have been possible without the existence of the Multilateral Fund for the Implementation of the Montreal Protocol, which has allowed developing countries such as Peru to be able to comply with their undertakings under the protocol. During this meeting, the parties have been evaluating very rightly the replenishment of this fund for 2024, 2025 and 2026, and we hope that this will produce a satisfactory result. The Montreal Protocol is therefore key evidence that multilateralism, if it is properly carried out and based on solid international cooperation, can generate the changes which the world requires. Peru ratified the Montreal Protocol on the 26th of March 1993, and over the last 30 years, and in accordance with our tradition of complying with all of our international undertakings, Peru has been able to phase out the majority of chemicals which are ozone-depleting substances regulated by the Montreal Protocol. And in accordance with its phase-out calendar, it is now a country free of these substances, and in preparation for the entry into force of the Kigali Amendment, which Peru is also party to, we are progressively implementing the phase-out calendar for HFCs, in particular HCFC 22. In that respect, we invite those states which have not yet ratified the Kigali Amendment to join this global effort, as humanity is the principal beneficiary of this. It's important to highlight that the Montreal Protocol is one of the global principal instruments that contributes to fighting against climate change as well, since the principal enemies of ozone are also greenhouse gases. Science has made it clear. The window of opportunity is closing in order for us to take the most ambitious measures against climate change. And if we do not act quickly and in a robust manner, there will be no future for humanity. During COP28, which is coming closer, we will also be moving towards a serious tipping point, which is the result of the global stocktake of the Paris Agreement. In that context, it's important to raise the spirit of the Montreal Protocol at the negotiation tables in Dubai, where we will discuss the future that we wish to leave to our future generations. Excellencies, I would like to end this statement by recalling the importance of international cooperation in order to achieve the international objectives in the context of the environmental agreements. Both the results of the energy efficiency workshop on 22nd of October, as well as the various exchanges on how we can improve sustainable refrigeration, show clearly that today international cooperation amongst states continues to be a fundamental pillar for the achievement of the objectives not only under the Montreal Protocol, but of all of the international environmental agreements. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, sir, for delivering your statement. And now I would like to invite a representative of Sierra Leone, Mr. Bashiru Kargbo, the principal and ozone officer. Sir, you have the floor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Bashir Karbo, the Principal Officer, stepping for the Honorable Deputy Minister of the Environment and Climate Change for Sierra Leone. Madam President, I want to take this opportunity to thank the hardworking staff of the Ozone Secretariat and all the parties who have contributed to the success of the Montreal Protocol and its relevant implementations undertaken over the years. Madam President, I wish to congratulate you on your election as the President of the 35th meetings of the parties to the Montreal Protocol, and also to thank the government and the people of Kenya for the landmarking hospitality in hosting us in this beautiful city of Nairobi. Madam President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the government of Sierra Leone wishes to reaffirm our unwavering commitment to the success of the Montreal Protocol and its relevant implementations. It is indeed a true reference point of success in terms of strong cooperation and collaboration among countries in addressing global challenges. Madam President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the government of Sierra Leone is one of the many countries that has ratified the Kigali Amendment and is on progress of developing its Kigali implementation plan to contribute to the phasing down of greenhouse gases like HFCs. Additionally, the government of Sierra Leone has undertaken in the implementation of the Montreal Protocol the following: reviewed our legislation to incorporate the Kigali Amendment, establishment of a functional licensing system for import and exports of ODS and other controlled substances. We have submitted, and to date, we are not having any compliance error in terms of our data for Article 7 and that of the CP data. We regulate the practices of refrigeration and air conditioning technicians to ensure that good practices are followed. We encourage more female technicians, and ever since in the history of Sierra Leone, we have more female opting for this particular sector as a career and also as strong contributors in ensuring that we achieve the collective gains. Provide trainings and equipment to technicians association, customs officers across the country. Through the unleashing support of that of the HPMP program for Sierra Leone, through the institutional strengthening programs and the like. We have also raised awareness through various training and other engagements. We have created a kind of platform that is very much admirable in country as a template for other institutions, that we engage on a timely basis with our stakeholders. We have provided awareness-raising materials for the various sectors, and also we have strengthened the knowledge of even the locals through brochures, dramas, jingles, and the like. There is a unique cordial relationship between the National Ozone Office and the Climate Change Secretariat, which demonstrate the needs of collaboration if we are to address global warming and substantially climate change. Maintaining a high level of cooperation among stakeholders through frequent engagement, we have conducted ODS alternative surveys and undertaking market compliance check to frustrate any form of illegal trade. These and many other deliberate actions by the government is a clear manifestation of our unwavering commitment. Madam President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we retrospect on the gains made over the last 35 years, let me hasten to remind us all that the challenges ahead are huge, but I am optimistic we can overcome it if we remain united and committed. In conclusion, Madam President, we will like to convey our sincere gratitude to the assessment panels for their remarkable work in helping us translate science into action. Madam President, Sierra Leone fully support and commit ourselves to the CRP put forward by Ghana in tackling dumping of obsolete refrigerants and technologies in Africa and other Article 5 countries. We must work together to share the responsibility in addressing these issues for a greater and brighter future. Asante sana.
Asante sana, and thank you very much, sir, for your statement. As per my list, this brings us to the end of statements from parties to the Montreal Protocol. I sincerely want to thank you all, heads of delegations, for their statements that were inspiring, encouraging, and thought-provoking. I would like to congratulate you for all excellent achievements and for also addressing challenges and proposals for way forward. I would like to stress once more that was highlighted by all the heads of delegations that as a result of our collective intelligence, wisdom, hard work and commitment, we have collective success in ozone layer protection and in reduction of climate change impact. So thank you once more for delivering your statements. Just a second. Now I would like to turn to speakers other than parties to the protocol who have requested to speak. We have two requests, one from the International Institute of Refrigeration and another one from Youth Constituency. First, would like to give the floor to Mr. Didier Coulon, head of the International Institute of Refrigeration. Sir, you have the floor.
Merci.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, the refrigeration sector, which includes the cold chain for food and health products, air conditioning, cryogenics, and heat pumps, is now recognized within the United Nations as a development priority for its benefits to human life and an environmental priority given its impact on climate change beyond the case of the stratospheric ozone layer. At the Conference of the Parties on Climate Change to be held in Dubai in just over a month's time, the International Institute of Refrigeration, the IIR, will be sharing a pavilion with various United Nations programs and agencies, in particular the United Nations Environment Programme, the Montreal Protocol Secretariat, and Ozone Action. The common goal is to promote sustainable refrigeration worldwide, in particular through workshops organized in a hybrid format. I invite you to participate. It is essential for every country to draw up national cooling plans, including heat pumps, aimed at drastically reducing the use of fluorinated gases and the energy consumption of equipment, while ensuring an increase in refrigerating equipment where it's needed, particularly in developing countries. The IIR is already involved in numerous projects in Africa, in Asia, and in Europe, such as setting up cold chains for food, equipping hospitals, installing low-energy air conditioning systems, and defining strategies in order for us to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. We are open to participating in other projects beyond our traditional activities involving databases, publications, and conferences. The IIR, together with its network of experts from academia and industry, is at your disposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And now it is my pleasure to give the floor to the representative of the Youth Constituency, Mr. Victor Ben Kwabe, which will be addressing parties to the Montreal Protocol for the first time. Sir, you have the floor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Madam President, for this opportunity. Well, the youth statement on the 35th meeting of parties to the Montreal Protocol. As observers during the 35th meeting of the parties to the Montreal Protocol, we are privileged to be accorded an opportunity by this meeting to represent the millions of young people around the world. It is with great regard and recognition of the plight that young people face in relation to the climate crisis globally that we would like to amplify the youth's voices and call for more representation in the meetings of the parties to the Montreal Protocol. It is important to note that the young people are adversely affected by the environmental issues as they attempt to thrive seeking employment while safeguarding the mother planet. Due to these factors, the youth representation in the 35th meeting of the parties to the Montreal Protocol, the first ever to get this opportunity, has come up with a statement. The statement by the Observers of Children and Youth Major Group in the 35th meeting of the Montreal Protocol not only advocates for a youth's voice in the meetings from now henceforth, but also calls for more capacity building, workshops, and forums globally to equip the young people with this information and know-how. Notably, the younger and future generation are deemed to suffer more if action in regards to climate action responses are not urgently rolled out in a scale that will be sufficient enough for reducing the impacts from the unprecedented climate change crisis. Roles of the youth in the space then would be: the youth can take part in the public education sphere, having a direct access to the community. The youth can be on the forefront of mobilization and creating awareness amongst the society. Young people are a dynamic and innovative population that therefore could assist in coming up with the solutions and alternatives around the HFC phase down and phase out of HCFCs. Protecting the ozone layer is a deep concern to young people and future generations, as they are deemed to suffer the most from the environmental impacts, especially the climate crisis. It is urgent that they are therefore included in these processes. Member states and industries involved in the ozone governance discussions can then prioritize including young people in these discussions, considering the resilience, dynamism, and innovativeness in the young people. It is our hope that this first-time engagement will further open doors to more forums and genuine inclusion of the younger generation in the discussions and the meetings. Let's empower the young scientists, innovators, climate leaders, and industry players to play a role in ozone protection. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. And with this, we have exhausted our list of speakers, and therefore I will close agenda item 5. And we will continue with the agenda item 2D. We will go back to this agenda item, which is credentials of representatives. You may recall that at yesterday's meeting, I indicated that the Bureau of this meeting would meet briefly this morning to review those credentials with the Secretariat, and that we would report back to the parties on their status at an appropriate time today, which is now. I am pleased to inform parties that the Bureau of the 35th meeting of the parties to the Montreal Protocol met this morning to consider a draft report on credentials prepared by the Secretariat, and that the Bureau has approved the report on credentials that is now being shown on the screen. Now I would like to give the floor to the Secretariat to present the report on credentials that was approved by the MOP35 Bureau this morning. Maria, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and good morning, distinguished delegates. Rule 20 of the Rules of Procedure for meetings of the parties to the Montreal Protocol provides that pending a decision of the meeting upon their credentials, representatives shall be entitled to participate provisionally in the meeting. I am pleased to report, as indicated by the President, that the results of the examination by the Bureau of the 35th meeting of the parties of credentials submitted by parties to the Montreal Protocol is ready. So as of close of business yesterday, the 26th of October, 2023, representatives of 148 parties had registered to participate at the 35th meeting of the parties. Among those parties, 110 had submitted valid credentials. Credentials of 85 of those 110 representatives were originals, while 25 copies were accepted on the understanding that originals would be submitted as soon as possible. In view of the foregoing, the Bureau would like to make the following recommendations to the meeting. First, that the meeting approve the credentials of the representatives of the 110 parties whose credentials have been found to be in good order, thereby allowing those representatives to fully participate in the further work of MOP35. Second, that the meeting provisionally approve the participation of 38 parties on the understanding that these parties would forward their credentials to the Secretariat as soon as possible, and that the meeting approve the report of the MOP35 Bureau, the text of which will be projected by my colleague on the screen. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Maria, for presenting the report related to on credentials. Now, I would like to invite parties to approve the report on credentials just presented to us by the Secretariat. Is there anyone having objections to this report just presented by Secretariat? Yeah, so seeing no objections, it is so decided. So this completes our consideration of agenda item 2D. So, okay, we just received the information by the Secretariat that upon this completion of agenda item 2D, I decided that since we have information that is one more delegation wanting to give a statement, so we will for a short while go back to agenda item number 5. And yeah, thank you. We have a distinguished representative of Philippines, Madam Esperanza Sayul, Assistant Director of Environmental Bureau, Department of Environment and Natural Resources of Philippines. So I'm inviting you, Madam, to please take the floor.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to all of you. I am honored to deliver this statement on behalf of the Philippine delegation. At the outset, allow me to extend our warm congratulations to you, Madam President, on your election. We wish you a very success throughout your term. The Philippines also expresses its sincerest gratitude and congratulations to the government of the Republic of Kenya and the Ozone Secretariat for the seamless organization of the 35th meeting of the parties of the Montreal Protocol. Our government is firmly committed to the Montreal Protocol. While we acknowledge the challenges that lie ahead, we also celebrate our country's accomplishment. The Philippines has diligently adhered to the obligations under the Montreal Protocol. After the ratification of the Kigali Amendment, our foremost challenges lies in its effective implementation. We are resolute in ensuring that this amendment doesn't merely remain a theoretical document, but translates into tangible action against the backdrop of escalating global emissions. In line with our commitment, we are actively engaged in phasing out ozone-depleting substances and have initiated phase-down programs for hydrofluorocarbons starting next year, 2024. Our country will enforce a baseline consumption freeze for hydrofluorocarbons. We take immense pride in our achievements, including the complete phase-out of HCFC 141B in the foam manufacturing sector in the Philippines last January 2015. The Philippines has also banned the importation and use of HCFC 22 in the manufacturing and refrigeration and air conditioning sector since 2020, except for servicing purposes. This proactive approach has significantly reduced the importation and consumption of HCFCs. Furthermore, our country has achieved a 35% and 50% reduction from the baseline consumption, meeting the compliance targets set on January 2020 and 2021, respectively. In our commitment to support energy efficiency integration, the Philippines is taking steps to foster green technologies, promote energy-efficient products, and encourage investments in renewable energy. This includes incentives for companies to adopt more sustainable practices, increasing the use of energy-efficient appliances and machinery, and prioritizing eco-friendly alternatives in policy making. Furthermore, we recognize the critical role of the customs officers in preventing our country from becoming a dumping ground for inefficient technologies. We aim to expand their monitoring roles to ensure that appliances entering the country adhere to the minimum energy performance standards and do not compromise our sustainability goals. However, this effort requires additional funding support and capacity building. Developing countries like the Philippines need adequate financial resources to effectively implement these measures and realize the full benefits of energy-efficient initiatives. Additional support is also essential for capacity-building activities to equip the customs officers with the necessary skills and knowledge to perform their roles and effectively in identifying inefficient equipment and appliances. We urge the international community to recognize significant role that energy efficiency plays in addressing climate change and protecting the ozone layer. We call for increased technical and financial assistance to Article 5 countries to ensure the successful integration of energy measures into the ozone and climate protection strategies. With the necessary and adequate support, we can accelerate our transition to a more sustainable and energy-efficient future, thereby maximizing the environmental and economic benefits of the Montreal Protocol. Dear colleagues, let us take vital steps in support of the Montreal Protocol. The Philippines stands ready and committed to collaborating with all of you in this endeavor. We assure you of our country's steadfast commitment to the objectives of the protocol. We eagerly anticipate meaningful cooperation among the parties in shaping our protocol, and we urge all parties to move decisively towards a common goal. With that, thank you very much, and God bless us all.
Thank you very much for Madam, and yes, God bless us all. With this, we now can conclude agenda item 5, and we will now proceed with agenda item 7, which is about dates and venue for MOP36. The Secretariat has made efforts to tentatively pre-book dates of meetings for the next 2 years, and the dates which are tentative and pending agreement with any host countries. Those dates are posted on the Secretariat's website. Now, I would like to invite Secretariat to make a short presentation on dates and venue for MOP36. Secretariat, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. In 2024, next year, we will be convening the 13th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Vienna Convention and the 36th meeting of the parties to the Montreal Protocol. The Secretariat has not received any offer from any party to host this meeting, so we have made a booking in Bangkok for this meeting. So we will be organizing the 13th COP 36th MOP meeting in Bangkok from the 28th of October to the 1st of November. For the information of the parties, the 46th meeting of the OEWG, scheduled for 8th to the 12th of July, will be held in Montreal. So that's the plan for our meetings next year. And then there is a draft decision in document 35/3, which is a compilation of draft decisions for consideration for adoption by the high-level segment. There is this draft decision 35HH. So that draft decision will be updated accordingly with the dates and the venue, as I mentioned, and will be forwarded to the high-level segment for consideration for adoption. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. Thank you very much, Meg, for this information and announcement. So this information will be updated in draft decision 35/HH and will be subject of adoption under agenda item 9 at later stage of our high-level segment. And so with this, we are concluding also agenda item 7. And regarding agenda item 8, other matters, there were no other matters raised at the time of the adoption of the agenda. Therefore, we don't have any other matters to be discussed under this item. So as we are standing right now, is that we have agenda item 6, report by the co-chairs of the preparatory segment, for which we will have to wait contact groups to finish their work. And upon that, we have remaining agenda item 9, adoption of the decision by MOP35, agenda 10, adoption of report of the meeting of MOP35. So at this point, we have exhausted our work at the high-level session, and we will break it now, and I will ask Secretariat to announce the further plan and the timing for the preparatory segment and for the finalization of high-level segment. Thank you. Yes, Cuba is asking for the floor. Sir, you have the floor.
Sí,
Yes, thank you very much, President, for giving me the floor. I just want to come back to what Ms. Secchi was saying about the organization of upcoming meetings, both in Montreal and in Bangkok. For Montreal, in the last meetings that we had, it was difficult for Cuban delegations to attend the various events. So really, some of our, even people within ministries of ecology and forestry had difficulties in attending. Some members of my delegation had to arrive late at some meetings, therefore would ask the protocol to support us as much as possible when it comes to enabling us to attend these meetings. So when we ask in particular for visas to visit the country and take part in person in the meetings, we would ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kuba, for informing about your situation and considerations, and Ozone Secretariat will provide their assistance to the best extent they can. Thank you. And are there any parties also wanting to take the floor? I don't see any. So this part of the meeting is adjourned, and we will meet later. You follow the schedule on the screen, and thank you very much.